So again, I wanted to talk a little bit about the variables that you have with different ways you can go about learning the tarot cards. You have so many different paths you can take on that. And when I teach, I try to keep all those paths open, because I know as an experienced reader, working with a lot of other professional readers, I do know you will find your own path on how you read these cards, and you will read unique compared to anybody else. I don't know any two readers that read the same. We all have our own little ways of doing it. And very successful people, the people I know, and they have their own way of doing it. And it works for them. It's just whatever starts to work for you. So to think you're on a tightrope of, I have to learn this specific way or that way, is, I think, it takes the fun out of it, for one thing. And that's no good. So I like to look at it as you're going to helping you find your way is the way I try to have you approach the tarot. I mean, you can go into, I have some books here, Paul Foster Case, you can go into Pappas, Waite, Ouspensky. These people are classics, and they have their own specific way of learning the cards, and they have different things that they cover, and they all work very well. They all work. That's just it. They all work. And seeing there isn't any way of making it something to prove that is the correct way, there's really nothing there to clarify that your way is the best way to do it, if you study one of these people or anybody else specifically. And it's like dancing. I tell people it's like dancing. Everybody's going to dance a little differently. And your way of doing it is perfectly fine. And fine-tuning that into something that works as time goes on is what you're going to be doing. And so to think you have to learn certain things to do a proper reading, I disagree with that. So I have people say, well, what about the astrological symbols in the tarot? What about that? Or the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah, and or using reverse meanings and the four elements of the suits and things like this. That's all well and good if you want to use them. If you don't want to use them, or if you want to use some of these, some of that, it's fine. Whatever works for you. Whatever makes you see the cards clearly is what works. Whatever deck you like, and that's going to take time for you to find out. And it's a matter of getting your feet wet and trying it. Just remember that there is no wrong, incorrect way to read these cards. There is no incorrect way. And they used to argue back and forth, my way's better than this way, and I mean, I'm talking back, a century ago or so. Crowley and Waite would lock horns, and others the same way. And but we don't need to do that now, So I like to think of it as like ice cream. If I was going to teach you about ice cream and I brought you into a Baskin Robbins and said, okay, all this is ice cream here. We all like ice cream, right? Okay. Okay. So all these different flavors are here. And you might say, well, which one is the best one? And I'd say, well, you got to try them. I like butter pecan. You might like chocolate chip mint. You might like chocolate. You might like strawberry. You might like pistachio or something. But you're not going to know until you actually familiarize yourself with all those different ice creams and how you like them. And I see the cards that way, the same way. You might not like using reverse meanings. You might not like you putting astrological the symbolism and astrological symbolism in your cards. You might not need that, and you might like it. You know, it depends on you. All I'm doing is bringing you in there and saying it's all good. So try whichever one you like. Try whichever way you like. It works. I'm going to help you find your way of finding your way. I want you to see the cards through your eyes, not mine. That's, I think, the best way to do it. And so that's what I try to do. And I also focus mostly on application. Because there's so many different decks of cards out there, the symbolism of this deck versus another deck will be totally different. It's the application that I think is what's important, how they're used. So learning that, I think, is the key to it. And have fun on this journey with you, with your cards, and try this and try that, and see what works for you. Just remember that there is no wrong way to do it. So if somebody tells you, well, you need to put this in there because if you're not using it, you're not completely doing a complete reading here, I disagree with that. And I don't have a certificate of my to say that, well, I'm certified to be an authority on that. What I do have is success, and I've been a professional reader for over 25 years, so I know it works. And I've taught as well for that many years. And so I've seen people start out with what I've taught them and move forward in their own direction after that. And it works. So I think that's a good way to look at it, as like ice cream. You got to find out what works for you. And the only way you're going to do that is by interacting with, books are fine. You know, books are great. And I think you need them to be able to familiarize yourself with the cards and vague or general directions on where you want to go with it. But fine-tuning it to your way only comes through experience, I think, not through somebody else's knowledge. It comes through your own experience. And also interacting with other readers, sharing ideas, and that's what you start to do after a while. I like anybody who's involved with the tarot cards, whether they do it like me or not. It's just because I'm involved with the tarot cards, so we got something in common. And if you're an experienced reader, you know that. So you don't care that the other person has something different than what you do. You appreciate where they're coming from because you know where they're coming from because you come from the same space. You know what it's about. So as far as some tightrope type of thinking, like there's some test to pass to be a correct reader, I disagree with that. So I have no secret school or or any of that. My school is the streets out there, and getting out there and doing it and practicing it. I think that's your best way to learn. And anybody who's had any of my counsel on being a good reader would know what I'm talking. They know where I'm coming from with that. So learning these cards is what's learning the application your way is what's important. You know, if you don't want to do things exactly like it's written in this book, or if you don't want to study the Kabbalah, but you do want to study the astrological signs, or you want to use reverse meanings, but this person says you don't need them, it's up to you. You know, they all work. Everything works. And you're a unique person, so you're going to read your own unique way. And that's what's... it's important to realize that that way is just as good as my way. And I don't have all the answers, but I do have a lot of them. And so this way does work. And all I can really do is show you what I do. And say, well, this works for me. And you know, if you want to try this over here, though, that's cool too. Go ahead and do it. And see what you think. And I think that that's a good way to look at it. But remember, have fun with this. Enjoy your journey with these cards, and just enjoy the ride. That's all. You're going to find your own system, and when you get results with it, you're going to say, you know what, this worked real good for me here, so I'm going to use that. I see this clearly if I use the astrological symbolism here. Or if I see the 4 elements of the suits as something that helps me see answers here, I'm going to use those 4 elements of the suits. Whatever it happens to be that you've come across in books or from other readers, and it works for you, you know, that has value. And it's your way of doing it, that's all. So, I hope this helped. I'm just trying to show you that there is no incorrect way to read. There is no incorrect deck. There's no deck, one deck better than another. Just like there's no better flavor at a Baskin-Robbins ice cream. They're all good. So whatever flavor you like is what you should get. If I go in there with you and I say, well, you know, you got to get butter pecan because that's what I that's the best ice cream they got. Well, I don't like that. I want chocolate chip mint. Well, that's not real ice cream. Only butter pecan. So that's not true. That's not the way you should look at it. It's all good, and so is your application of the tarot, whatever you like. So that's that. People always wonder. People have been asking, "What are you writing in here on this paper when we talk?" And it's really nothing. I don't. Here's what I got here. So you know, it's just scribble. It just helps me think as I'm talking to you. So there's nothing profound here. Nothing profound at all. Of course, it is interesting to look at sometimes, but. So just so you know now, that's the mystery. That's what I wrote. This is over a couple talks, actually. Profound stuff. Anyway, that's all. Keep throwing cards. I hope you like this. And remember, you'll find your own way with the cards. It's just good to familiarize yourself with what people are doing. Suggestions. Look at everything as a suggestion, and you'll find your own path. That's all for now. Bye.